There's a hole in our Panther Grand Sports project. I have a speedometer, but it's not quite up to standard. Let's freshen it up. Gentle Renaissance viol music in the background seems to suit this task, more horology than spannering. The screws holding the Smith's Chronometric in its case attach a bracket for working on it in the vise. Access is via its threaded bezel. Grasped with a gloved hand, it resists my advances, so I warm things up with a butane pencil flame. In theory, this expands the ring, but gripping with soft jaw pump pliers makes no impression. Maybe no surprise. It's been unmolested for over 30 years to my knowledge, probably much longer. I bring in a more robust persuader, my chain wrench, pondering on the fact that this is a term only applied to this style of tool for oil filters and the T-bars used with threading taps in the UK. Rings, open-enders and sockets are spanners here. Perhaps the American term wrench was too distressingly violent. With no obvious progress, I indulge in a bit of displacement activity, a side track. This much simpler headlight fitting, P&M's Panther head emblem, has been repainted, then only requires a smear of superglue. Back at the main event, I accept that further heat and wrenching may damage adjacent parts. The bezel, not exactly in A1 condition, must be sacrificed for the greater good. Cutting carefully with a junior hacksaw, I stop short of the threads and take a pair of pliers to finish the job. It unscrews to reveal the glass and its support rim, both in usable condition. The old rubber gasket will scrape off, and a buff up soon has the glass sparkling. A note in my book reminds me to order a new rim. I've already soaked the trip reset in penetrating fluid. With its cross pin removed and a little gentle persuasion from opposing pliers, the flexible rod comes free. 2 screws release the instrument from its case and are used to attach the support bracket again. I saw a neat needle puller in a book of workshop wrinkles, or as 2025 man might say, workshop hacks. A brass nut has its thread bored out, one face of the hexagon filed back, and a 4mm milling cutter run through in the drill press. Okay, it's not exactly precision engineering in the retromechanica sense, but it does the job. With a little file work to create flats inside the bore, it slips under the needle's centre. I drill the opposing face, and leaving it in the drill vise, change the 2mm bit for a 3mm tap and start it to align the thread, finishing by hand. A 3mm screw has the last ½ inch of thread turned off to form a pin of about 1mm, slightly slimmer than the speedometer's spindle. A few turns with a screwdriver extract the needle without any need for wrenching. The dial face reveals Smith's wonderful chronometric mechanism. I'm still in awe of this precision work, fitted to thousands of motorcycles through its long lifetime, before cheaper, some might say nastier, magnetic instruments pushed it from its pedestal. I won't get too deep into an explanation of its workings, because you can find plenty of information on the internet, if you're tempted to dip a toe into the watchmaker's art. Mixed, metaphorically speaking. This cream smartens dials and restores murky numbers without abrading or dissolving. The trip reset spindle takes a square of abrasive to clean off corrosion, but it still needs a tug with the pliers to free it. Beyond it is a fixing screw holding the mounting block. A second screw and a forked plate release the drive worm and gear with its socket for the drive cable. A supermarket buy ultrasonic cleaner defies my understanding of the term, sound above the limits of human hearing. That's it, you can hear buzzing, but in its defence it does work. Yes, I was that annoying child with a why for every parental pronouncement. But sometimes for the sake of progress, we have to stop asking questions and just believe. Sometimes. After a few minutes, the clean turpentine substitute, Terp's sub to its close friends, turns black. A worm and cam assembly drives odometer and trip drum ratchets, and these parts are the next candidates for ultrasonic cleaning. A gear below the worm transfers drive to the speedometer assembly, which is held by two screws below the frame. This self-contained movement is a common component of our instrument and the neat D-shaped speedos found on early BSA Bantams and many other lightweight two-stroke motorcycles. When the first batch of parts comes out of the cleaner, the movement goes in. It's not seriously contaminated, so I'm hoping that a clean and dry will save complete disassembly. Lubricant forced up onto the cast frame by the speedometer cable is a common cause of chronometric failure, but doesn't seem to have reached that movement here. We'll know for sure when we test it. Spring plates come off the number drums to allow them to turn for cleaning with soft rag dosed with the plastic's rejuvenating fluid. I made a note of the original reading, and after a clean-up, I reset and replaced the spring retainers. 69,000 miles seems a plausible total between the Grand Sport's purchase in 1960 and 1989, when it was last on the road. 3 felt pads set into the support frame provide lubrication from below. A spot of fine sewing machine oil satisfies them. The drive spindle's pad is covered by a washer before the spindle goes in, retained by its forked plate and screw. The ratchet assembly sandwich of washers, cam, pin and pulls follows with the longer trip meter lever below its drum and the odometers above. Two tiny springs on the pulls are looped over a bar to keep them in contact with the ratchets. I lubricate the chronometric movement's bearings with a spot of oil applied with the point of a pick. Only the spindles, because oil elsewhere will defeat function. The assembly is secured by 2 screws from below. With a gasket underneath it, the speedo dial goes back with its 2 screws. I replace the needle with light pressure, since it will need calibration. A portable drill spins it up. It's been so long since I took this bike apart that I had to review this early video to remind myself why there was no provision for attachment of the speedometer. Seems it just sat there, held in the headlight shell by gravity, its drive cable, the wiring, and some sticky tape. I have another case as pattern, and it's a simple matter to bore and fit bolts for the U-bracket. The inside is painted white to reflect light from the bulb, and with a new lower gasket cut from cartridge paper, we're ready to put it back into the case. To set needle position, I ran the battery drill flat out into a known accurate chronometric speedo, that on the model 100 Panther. Its needle settled to a steady 40 mph, so I run the drill at the same speed in our rebuilt instrument and replace the needle there. In with the inner rim, the clean glass, a fresh rubber gasket, and our sparkling new replica bezel in polished stainless steel. Drop it into the headlight shell, do up the clamp, attach the speedo cable, fit the light, and test. Next session we'll bolt some more bits together, and maybe, just maybe, take our first ride. Not too far though, for fear of a long walk home. Say, round the drive and back.